Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again to our Hope for the Moment. And I know we're a little late on getting this one in. We planned on doing it at 2, but that's just the way things are going right now as we're working through this. But I appreciate you taking the time. And so now we're going to be talking about prayer today. And you should be able to see from the title there, the idea is prayer worth it, or is it worth it to pray? And really thinking about the situation that we find ourselves in even today, and what our response ought to be. And so, if you're like me, then and yeah, we've got a couple of little guests with us here, so we'll see how this goes. But Kaylin and Abby wanted to be in on it. But we think about kind of how we handle different situations, where we turn to, and if something bad comes up in your life, what's your first response? Do you call a family member or a friend? Do you post it on social media? Get a picture out there, whatever it might be. If you're like me, one of your biggest struggles might be, trying to make out a plan of attack. How to fix this on my own, and it's just funny the timing of it, and maybe that's why I wanted to focus on that today. But for me, even just these past couple of days has been a big struggle for me, trying to not do things on my own power, and to be going to God when I need to, because things went well with our stream on Sunday, our live stream for the service, and we're happy about that. But we're trying to, since that was our first time ever, trying to improve a few things, and so even getting a new camera and a mic, and working through that, and it just hasn't been going as I planned it to be, and so. So I've spent more hours over the past couple of days thinking through camera and microphone stuff than I ever thought I would have. But here we are. So if you're like me, that's what you fight against is that constant struggle with yourself of trying to handle it on your own. So it goes back to the question, where should we go? What should our response be when we come into these kind of times? And obviously it's prayer. And I know that's the Sunday school type answer, but even though it's such a easy answer that we know, it's not where we often go. And in our struggles, our difficult situations, that's not always where we turn to. But what would it look like, if we come to these difficult times, our tough situations, or even like what we're facing right now, and what would our life look like if we turned to prayer the same way that we turn to Google? If you think about when someone asks you a question of something that you don't know, and you can find it on the internet, like, what other movies was this actor in, or what's the number for a local vet, or something like that. Chances are your response is going to be, let me Google that. But what if that's the way that we responded in prayer? Is let me pray about that. So, some tough thing happens, something comes up, and that's your response. You turn to prayer just like you would turn to Google. And so you just say, let me pray about that. Whether you break a bone and you have to sit off the team for a while, your parents get a different job and you have to move away from your school and your friends, a loved one dies, or the coronavirus happens. Any of these types of situations, or any other situation that you could imagine, if your response was, let me pray about that. We're so quick to Google anything else. Why are we not quick to pray about the situations that we come into? And so that leads me to thinking about Psalm 63, because David was a guy that often found himself in very difficult, very tough situations. But he got to the point where his response, his natural tendency almost came to be that of crying out to God in prayer, because he knew that was the most important thing for him to do. So I want to read Psalm 63, just the first 8 verses, but I really want to focus in on the words that are being used here and how David is approaching God in this time of need. But he says, "O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you, my flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips when I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the night watches. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me. I pray, I challenge you that this would be our response this week and moving forward, whatever kind of situation we run into, that we would respond like David, and we would see God for who he is, and because of that, we see that he's the one that we need to go to, and our response needs to be tied to prayer and focus on him. So for you teens, a challenge for you this week to maybe help put this into practice would be to pick someone from our church body that you're going to pray for. And as you pray for them, then write them a note, send it to them, and let them know that you're praying for them. And that can help us to turn our response from the fear of what's going on in the world to praying for the situation that we're in, and as well praying for one another. So I hope this has been an encouragement for you from Psalm 63, and I would encourage you to continue living in hope. Thanks.